Before you ask the world to believe in you, ask yourself one question. Are you proud of who you are becoming? Stay with me until the end, because the final lessons will truly change your perspective. Before you ask the world to believe in you, ask yourself something far more important. Are you proud of who you are when no one is watching? Stay with me, because what I'm about to share is not comfortable, but it is transformative. And if you truly allow it to sink in, it will change the way you look at your ambition, your relationships, your work, and even your reflection in the mirror. We live in a time where everything feels like a stage. Social media is a stage. Corporate boardrooms are a stage. Even our friendships sometimes feel like performances. Somewhere along the way, many of us stopped living and started presenting. We curate our opinions, we filter our emotions, we adjust our personalities depending on who is in the room. And slowly, without realizing it, we begin to confuse applause with acceptance. But applause is temporary. It fades. And when it does, what remains is the truth of who you are beneath the performance. That's the version of you that matters. That's the version you have to wake up with every morning. And if you don't know that person, if you've been performing for so long that you've lost touch with your own instincts, then no amount of validation will ever feel like enough. I remember moments in my own journey where I felt immense pressure to fit into expectations. Expectations of beauty, expectations of success, expectations of how a woman should behave in powerful spaces. There were rooms I walked into where I felt I had to shrink parts of myself to be accepted, and other rooms where I felt I had to exaggerate strength to be taken seriously. It's exhausting to live like that. It drains your spirit, because every time you silence your authentic voice to please someone else, a small part of your confidence erodes. And the scary thing is, it doesn't happen loudly. It happens quietly. You wake up one day successful on paper, but disconnected inside. That's the cost of constant performance. The turning point in my life wasn't an award. It wasn't a headline. It wasn't a global milestone. It was a private realization. I asked myself, if all of this disappeared tomorrow, the titles, the recognition, the noise, would I still respect the woman I've become? That question shook me, because success without self-respect is hollow. And performance without authenticity is fragile. When you build your life around what others expect, you are constantly adjusting the mask. And masks are heavy. They suffocate growth. They prevent vulnerability. They block real connection. The day you decide to remove the mask, even if your voice shakes, even if your hands tremble, that is the day your real life begins. Let me tell you something powerful. When you stop performing, you start becoming. Becoming is slower, it's less glamorous, it doesn't trend, but it's real. Becoming means making decisions based on alignment, not approval. It means choosing paths that feel honest, even if they're misunderstood. It means saying no when your spirit says no, even if the world says you're foolish. And here's the paradox. The moment you stop chasing validation, you become magnetic. Because authenticity carries an energy that performance never can. People may not always agree with you, but they will feel your integrity. And integrity builds influence that lasts. Ask yourself this tonight. If nobody could applaud you, would you still do what you're doing? If nobody could criticize you, would you still be afraid to show who you truly are? These questions are not meant to judge you. They are meant to liberate you. Because when your choices are no longer driven by fear of rejection or hunger for validation, You reclaim your power. You move differently. You speak differently. You carry yourself differently. There's a calm confidence that emerges when you know you're not acting, you're aligning. And that alignment is unshakable. It doesn't depend on comments, compliments, or comparisons. We have been conditioned to measure our worth by external metrics, followers, salaries, awards, relationship status. But none of these things define your character. They reflect outcomes, not identity. And when you focus too much on outcomes, you start shaping your identity around what produces applause. That's a dangerous trap, because applause can reward behavior that isn't aligned with your soul. It can celebrate hustle while you're burned out. It can celebrate beauty while you feel insecure. It can celebrate success while you feel empty. Don't let noise confuse you into thinking you're fulfilled. Fulfillment comes from congruence. When who you are inside matches how you show up outside. There is also courage required in authenticity. Let's not romanticize it. When you stop performing, some people will be uncomfortable. They were attached to the version of you that was convenient for them. They liked the agreeable you, the predictable you, the polished you. And when you begin to speak with clarity and boundaries, not everyone will applaud. Some will question you. Some will distance themselves. But here's the truth. Losing people who only loved your performance is not a loss. It's space being created for relationships rooted in truth. And those relationships, they nourish you instead of draining you. You deserve a life that feels like it belongs to you. Not a life that looks impressive from the outside, but feels foreign on the inside. The real flex is not perfection. It's peace. Peace in knowing that your decisions are aligned with your values. Peace in knowing that your kindness is genuine, not strategic. Peace in knowing that your ambition is purpose-driven, not ego-driven. When you operate from that place, you stop competing with others and start refining yourself. You stop chasing trends and start building legacy. You stop asking, do they approve? And start asking, am I proud? And let me be clear, this is not an invitation to rebellion without wisdom. It's not about rejecting feedback or isolating yourself from growth. It's about discernment. It's about listening to advice, but filtering it through your own inner compass. It's about evolving without abandoning your core. Growth does not require you to erase your essence. It requires you to strengthen it. The strongest people in any room are not the ones performing confidence. They are the ones grounded in self-awareness. They know who they are. They know what they stand for. And because of that, they don't have to prove it constantly. When you strip away the performance, something beautiful happens. You start attracting opportunities that resonate with your truth. You start connecting with people who value your authenticity. You start building a career and a life that feels sustainable, not staged. And most importantly, you begin to trust yourself. Self-trust is built when your actions match your inner voice. Every time you ignore that voice to impress someone else, you weaken self-trust. Every time you honor it, even in small ways, you strengthen it. And self-trust is the foundation of real confidence. So today, I'm not asking you to be fearless. I'm asking you to be honest. Honest about what you want. Honest about what you tolerate. Honest about where you've been pretending. Awareness is not shame. Awareness is awakening. The moment you recognize where you've been performing, you gain the power to choose differently. And choice is where transformation lives. You are not trapped by who you've been. You are only limited by the courage you're willing to exercise now. At the end of your life, there won't be a scoreboard of applause. There won't be a highlight reel of compliments. There will only be a quiet question. Did you live as yourself, or did you live as a reflection of expectations? That question is intimate. It is sacred, and it demands bravery, because living authentically requires you to disappoint people sometimes. It requires you to risk misunderstanding. It requires you to stand alone before others understand your vision. But the reward is priceless. A life that feels real. And when you finally reach a place where you can sit alone in a room without validation, without noise, without performance, and still feel proud of who you are, that is freedom. That is success. That is power. Not the kind that dominates others, but the kind that anchors you. The kind that allows you to walk into any room without shrinking or exaggerating. The kind that whispers, you are enough as you are, and you are growing into even more. So stop performing for the crowd. Start becoming for yourself. Remove the mask. Reclaim your voice. Build a life that feels honest, not just impressive, because the world doesn't need another performance. It needs your truth. And when you finally choose authenticity over applause, you don't just change your path, you change your entire presence. Asterisk, make yourself proud first. Everything else will follow. Asterisks, let me share something that most people don't want to hear. The life you dream about is not built on motivation. It is built on discipline. Motivation is emotional. It comes and goes. Some days you feel unstoppable. Other days you feel tired, distracted, uninspired. But discipline is different. Discipline is quiet. It doesn't depend on your mood. It doesn't wait for the perfect moment. It shows up whether you feel like it or not. And this is where the real difference between people who wish and people who grow begins. Because every time you do what you said you would do, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's uncomfortable, you are sending yourself a powerful message. I can trust myself. We often think discipline is about control, restriction, or punishment. But that's not what it is. Discipline is self-respect in action. It's the way you prove to yourself that your goals matter. Think about it. When you keep a promise to a friend, you strengthen that relationship. But when you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen something even more important, your identity. Every morning you wake up early when you wanted to sleep in. Every time you choose growth over distraction, every time you stay consistent instead of quitting, you are building a quiet confidence that no external validation can give you. Because confidence doesn't come from praise. Confidence comes from evidence. Evidence that you show up for your own life. In my journey, there were moments when discipline was the only thing holding everything together. There were days I was exhausted, uncertain, even afraid of what lay ahead. But I had made a commitment to myself that no matter what was happening externally, my effort would remain consistent. And that consistency became my anchor. When you rely only on how you feel, your progress becomes unstable. But when you rely on discipline, your progress becomes inevitable. The truth is, successful people don't feel motivated every day. They simply refuse to negotiate with their excuses. Here's something powerful to understand. Every time you break a promise to yourself, your self-trust weakens. It may seem small, skipping a workout, delaying your work, choosing comfort over responsibility, but your mind notices, and over time, a dangerous pattern forms. You stop believing your own intentions. You set goals, but don't expect yourself to follow through. That quiet disappointment with yourself is more damaging than any external failure. But the opposite is also true. Every small act of discipline, finishing what you started, honoring your schedule, staying committed, rebuilds that trust. And self-trust is the foundation of real confidence. Discipline is also what separates dreams from fantasies. Everyone has dreams. Everyone talks about the life they want, the person they want to become. But very few people are willing to do the repetitive, unglamorous work required to get there. Growth is not exciting most of the time. It's routine, it's repetition,